Hi, this is Rabbi Tzvi Mendel of Congregation Kal B'nai Yisrael, Community of Jewish Friends, and we're continuing the Pirkei Avos, the ethics of our ancestors, and we're in the middle of the 5th chapter. And as we were speaking about the last time, the whole Pirkei Avos is about showing how much Hashem loves us and wants to keep this love, and we want to grow from this love. We give back the love, just like two people that love each other. They feel the love from one person to the other so that nothing could be in between. Between us and Hashem, the Pirkei Avos teaches how one becomes closer to God. Has nothing to do with halacha, what the mitzvahs, all these things are something else. It's how the Jew himself is connected to God and strengthens his love between him and Hashem and the Torah and the rest of the Jews, and all the Jews together as one. So the next Mishnah speaks about the miracles that happened in the temple that are not mentioned in the Torah, and also miracles that stay with us forever and ever. Just like every holiday that we have stands for a certain miracle that happened then. And according to all the commentaries, the miracle is repeated every year on a minute level, and all the good hashpas and all the good things that happen because of the miracles. Chanukah. So each year, Chanukah time, the Torah is renewed. There's more Torah on Chanukah written from all the years than on any other holiday, because the holiday of Chanukah shows the beauty of Jewish people being connected to the Torah without any outside influences. And the purity of the Torah, both because of the purity of the oil and so too the purity of the Jewish people being so connected to the Torah that we renew the Torah, we add to the Torah. Purim is the joy. So the joy of the original Purim reconnects itself every year and renews its love from up to us to Hashem and to the Torah and to Yiddishkeit and to all the other Jews. Same thing. Pesach, Shavuos with the receiving of the Torah, and Kippur with the forgiving and the joy of the holidays of the year. So, same thing, these miracles were not just one-time miracles, but they happened in the temple, and their influence is with us till this very day, as we will see. Asar Nisim 10 miracles Nasu Laveseinu B'Beis HaMikdash happened to our ancestors, and when it says to our ancestors, like it said before, that means that we are the inheritors, we as the descendants, and so it happens with us also in our Beis HaMikdash, in our temple. The temple was only destroyed physically, all the Svarim say, right? But the spiritual temple was never destroyed, and it stays in heaven and waits to be rebuilt any second as soon as Hashem says Mashiach should come. It's for this reason that we feel the unbelievable joy that when we do a mitzvah or daven or learn, we're rebuilding the temple, and we tell our children always that you put in a penny in the tzedakah box, so you're building the Beis HaMikdash, and it's true. God forbid the other way around, so we're taking away from the Beis HaMikdash. Okay, so these 10 miracles. The miracles are broken into 3 groups in this Mishnah. First, it speaks about the greatness of the service in the Beis HaMikdash, the sacrifices, and how special and way beyond this world they were, that it didn't have the physical and bad parts of them, the evil parts of them, as we'll see in the Mishnah. That's how great and spiritually it was. The reason for the sacrifices we're not going to go into because there are many reasons, and we really don't know why. L'reich nichachish l'Hashem means that Hashem wanted it and is made joyous from it, and that's basically what we're going to go with. So the first part speaks about the service in the temple and how it was so spiritual that the physical effects that affect other things, meat and insects and all these things, did not affect the temple. That's the first part. The second part will speak about the actual different services in the temple besides the sacrifices, which every Shabbos there was the Lechem Mishnah, like we have when we have our Shabbos meals, the two breads that lasted from week to week and smelled fresh from week to week, didn't feel stale. So again, the physical aspects did not have any effect on the actual services. And the last part speaks about the Jews themselves. We ourselves, those that came to the temple and those that lived in Jerusalem, how special it was with limits of physicalities and not so much physical. It was more spiritual than physical. Let's see the Mishnah. So only some 10 miracles happened to our ancestors, Bebeis HaMikdash in the temple. La'yipila isha mireach b'sar HaKodesh, a woman that was pregnant never lost her baby because of the smell of the holy meat of the sacrifices. It didn't smell, because if it would, then it would be an ill effect, a negative thing from the physicality of it. So Hashem didn't allow that in the temple. And the actual sacrifices themselves never smelled altogether. So one is a ripple effect from the other one. Third thing was, there was never a fly, even though there was so much going on with sacrifices day and night, and the karbanos running around, and people being sacrificed, Jews and even non-Jews would come to the temple realizing that Hashem is the only God. But what's the symbolism of a fly? Because the fly, either the Chazal teach us, stands for Amalek, our worst enemy, our first enemy, as we learned in the parasha 2 weeks ago, or it stands for other gods, for strange gods. What does that have to do with a fly? Because a fly comes back and comes back and comes back, and it doesn't sting. So one would say it's a pleasant insect, right? But it doesn't stop bothering you. It does not allow you to concentrate and to be comfortable in what you're doing and to accomplish what you have to do. So this was who Amalek was, right? Sages teach us that the rest of the world was so afraid of the Jewish people that they weren't going to hurt them anymore, even though they always had problems from the enemies. But no one would have the audacity, after all the miracles that was publicized in the whole world, what happened to the Jewish people when they went out of Egypt. Everyone knew about it. But Amalek was the first one to cool off this respect for the Jewish people. Sages teach us it's like someone that has a boiling hot bath, so hot no one would even jump in. The first one that jumps in cools it off so that the next person could already jump in. So in a very negative way, Amalek is our first enemy, who cooled it off for all our other enemies after that. And the Zavuv, the fly, represents that on some minute level. Next is and the high priest, the highest and holiest person in Israel through many generations was the Kohen Gadol, just like Aaron, the first priest. Later on, we had very evil high priests and very evil kings, and they sinned terribly. But his position is the highest position, and we had terrible problems with high priests. But there were many of them that were great and righteous like they should have been. So the high priest never became impure on the day of Yom Kippur, because otherwise it would have been a problem. Like and even though the Mizbeach, the altar, was outside, Mizbeach HaChitzin, but still in all, there was never a problem with the weather, with rain or pouring storms. It never hit that area, even though it might have stormed or rained nearby. On top of the Mizbeach, on top of the altar, there was a smoke that would go straight up to heaven, and wind was never able to blow it away, meaning that both the water and the wind and all the elements of the world had no control in the temple, which was higher than the world, which was on a different plane, and the spiritual was greater than the physical. Also, there's another thing over here where commentaries say that Ruach stands for Ruach Shtus. When someone sins, someone is like, he's not normal at that time, because doing God's will and being connected to Hashem, that's the straight way. That's the right way, and that's the straight way. Someone that has a soul, a Jewish soul, knows how to think naturally according to what Hashem wants. Of course, it takes a whole life to work on it, but there's a natural connection between us and our Father in heaven. We feel that. A Ruach Shtus means a wind that blows away that natural love. So the wind never pushed away this smoke. Smoke, Ashan, is Olam Shana Nefesh, the connection of the Jew and the place and the whole atmosphere to Hashem, which reminds us of the great day of that we were on Mount Sinai. And the next thing is there was a sacrifice, the carbon oima, which allowed them to eat the next day the chadash, the new crop, and that was always okay. There was no problem with them. The two breads never got spoiled, as we said, ubelechem apanim, and also the lechem apanim. The last part speaks about the people. Oimdim Tzvufim, the Jewish people came to the temple, and the whole Jewish nation, 600,000 souls. There's many, many more than 600,000 Jews in the world today, and always was and will be many, many more, thank God. But one Jew has a part of his soul, so that's why the head of the soul is tzaddikim, the great tzaddikim of every generation, and a person could be a toe of a soul. Whatever it is, it's all one big soul. All the Jewish people are one big soul. But there was never enough place physically for them to be together, so they'd all be squished together when they were in the temple. But Mishtachvim v'Revachim, when they had to bow down, miraculously, everybody had 4 amis, which is about 8 feet or more, so that he could speak to God privately without his neighbor hearing him, whether it was confession of his sins, or whether him asking for his necessities from his Father in heaven. And this was very special. There's another interpretation. Oimdim Tzvufim, if a person is haughty and stands and thinks he's bigger than everybody else, then Tzvufim, there's never enough place for him. But Mishtachvim, one bows, one is a little humbled, and Revachim, there's place for everybody. A humble person always welcomes another person. And nor a snake, nor a akrav, a scorpion, ever hurt a person in Jerusalem, even though scorpions are pretty much, there are a lot of them in Jerusalem. But during times of the temple, no one ever got hurt by this. To show that the original sin of the nachash, of the snake, and all the bad elements had no shlita, had no real power in Yerushalayim. Adam, and a person never said l'chaveri to his friend, Sali hamakim shalni b'Yerushalayim. Either that he doesn't have a means of living, everyone had a means of living, or when they came for the 3 holidays to Yerushalayim, everyone found a place to stay and to live and to where to be for the holidays, and there was never a problem with guests. Stop right here. Have a good day.